So our goal was, in this class, we're setting up to deploy Google Chrome using Active Directory. And we wanted Google Chrome to be pushed out to any client machines that are in Active Directory that we define them for anyway. So we left off on Tuesday. The deploy share on server 3 was made hidden with the $, if you remember that. We copied Google Chrome MSI installer of 70-something meg files, got the entire into that shared folder. And MSI installers can be enterprise deployed, meaning you don't have to have user interaction to answer the ALUAs and all the questions of where you want it installed. It'll pre-install into the default locations without user intervention. So that's on our system. Now we need to prepare Active Directory so that we can deploy this out. So let's go ahead and launch Active Directory users and computers. And I made mention whenever we created the minions folder that creates our user accounts, that it has an extra little icon or symbol on the Manila folder. And I said, try to explain that that's for, you can put policies in there, basically for management. The bland folders up here, you can't put anything extra on them, so you can't control them. So anything that you create, users, groups, computers, anything you add into the Active Directory should probably be in a folder that's got the extra policy symbol on it. Let's check out where is our client machines located? They're located in computers. And that folder does not have a symbol on it. That means we can't control them from that location. We need to create a new location and move client 1 out of computers. A functional Active Directory won't have anything under computers unless computers have been recently added into the system. So let's fix that. Let's click on Contoso.com. And you notice your button bar at the top has one of those Manila folders with the symbol on it, plus a little gold star, basically meaning new. So I can click on that. I could also right-click Contoso.com and go to New Organizational Unit. I'm going to click that, and it's going to ask for a new organizational unit. I'll pay attention. It is created in Contoso.com. We'll name this one Servers. And click OK. I'll move my server once that's created by right-clicking it and telling it to move. And since I created a folder for servers, these are non-domain controllers, by the way, I'll just click on servers and click OK. Did it move? Check your screen. It should now show up under servers. Now we need to create one for our clients or workstations or PCs. So let's create a new organizational unit this time. And I'll just make it PCs. And click OK. Now in computers, I'm going to do a little bit different. I'm just going to drag and drop it to show you a different alternative. You can drag and drop like files. Yes. So yes, drag and drop works. Right click and move also works. You could also do it from the command line if you wanted to. But I don't want to do that. We're clicking on PCs. Is it there? It is. Our servers are running core. They don't have a graphical interface, so you can't install graphical applications onto them. So Google Chrome would not be a candidate to be put into the servers. However, our client machine is running Windows 10. It does have a graphical interface that the clients or customers use every day. So that is a candidate for Google Chrome. So this PCs folder, I want to say any computer that gets put into here has Google Chrome installed on it. Probably be the company policy. Use Google Chrome. In the olden days, you used to be able to configure it from here, but that was over 15 years ago. So it no longer exists, and probably doesn't even bother mentioning that you used to be able to do it from Active Directory users and computers, but you can't do that from this location. But what I had to do was organize my Active Directory right here. And when we get into chapter 7, I'll go over some other, I'll show you our university Active Directory and how that we split things across, and talk about maybe the National Guard and some others and how they may organize their Active Directory to sort things. But for now, let's go ahead and close out that tool because it's now organized the way we need it. Let's go under Tools and find Group Policy Management. You'd think that it would act upon a user group or something, wouldn't you? It doesn't. It does not act upon groups at all. It acts upon organizational units. So organizational unit policy management is maybe what I would have rather have seen it, although it can also act upon domains and sites too. But group policy management kind of confuses some people if you read it. It's not managing groups of users. It's managing what's inside of an organizational unit or some other objects called sites or domains. So let's go ahead and launch it. The tools popped up on top. That's very nice. On 2016 server, it always went behind anything when it launched. And I was like, why? So be careful on your version of Windows when you launch stuff and you're waiting for it, Look in your taskbar. It may have actually started. It may just be down in your taskbar and not on top of the screen. So that's just a tip because that's really annoyed me on other versions of server. Let's go and open up the Forest, Contoso.com, open up domains, open up Contoso. That looks pretty close to what we've seen in Active Directory users and computers, right? What do you see missing? All of the folders, containers that don't have that symbol on them, but all the ones that have the symbol, like domain controllers, minions, PCs, and server are listed. So now you got a visual of why that we needed to create, or maybe have a visual understanding why we needed to create our own structure ourselves as admins and put things in it to administer, because the tool for some really cool centralized administration stuff only administer stuff that you create, not the built-in pre-created folders out there known as container folders. Click on PCs. It is blank at this time. What we're going to do, we're going to create what's known as a group policy object. It's just a set of registry keys that tell the Windows machine what to do. And in our case, we want to tell it to install Google Chrome. So let's right-click on that organizational unit. And you see the context menu that pops up. What do you think I'm wanting to do here? Take a wild guess. Create a GPO in this domain and link it here. Yes. Group policy object is that registry key that I said. So click on it. We'll give it a name. How about, let's just name it Chrome deployment. So you want to name these something that if you needed to apply this to another structure of Active Directory, you can look at it and also link the same settings somewhere else. So give them names that you know what they're doing. If you just named it 101 and the next one 102 and the next one 103, they're like another admin coming in behind you would be like, what do these do? What are they for? So let's click OK. Like if I need to deploy it to another folder, maybe we had another room of PCs that was created, we could go to somewhere else and link an existing one, you know, find Google Chrome and link it if we needed to. I'm not, but we could. So right now it's empty. We just created a blank one. We've not actually configured anything. Let's right click on the policy that we just created. And what do you think we need to do to be able to configure it? Click on edit, correct. So this brings up a graphical policy editor. And it's broken down into two sections, a computer section and a user section. Well, what did we put in the PC's organizational unit? We put computers. We did not put any user accounts in there. So the only policy that would make sense to look at would be what? The computer configuration. So I'm going to minimize the user configuration and just hide that section. And I'll start by opening up the first folder up here, policies folder. And I notice there's a software settings. So I'm going to open that up and see what's inside of there. And there's a setting here for software installation. What are we wanting to do now? What is our goal? To install Google Chrome. So yes, software installation setting is what we need to do. Now, before I do anything right here, I'm going to go make sure that I can copy and paste. So I'm going to go back to Server Manager, and I'm going to right click and open up the deployment share. I want to make sure that I can see Google Chrome Enterprise, and I want to copy the path because I don't want to make a mistake and it not work by typing it in myself. It's real easy to have a sticky key on the keyboard or mistype something. So if you let Server Manager open the share, you can copy the path and not have any mistakes. So I'm going to copy that path. Now I'm going to go ahead and minimize that and go back to my policy editor. So here with the software installation highlighted, there's nothing over here on the right side. So I'm going to right click over here and go to new. And I don't know why they needed a drop out menu with only one thing in it. It's like, why couldn't you replace new with just package and save me the step of having to move my mouse cursor over there? I'm not sure. Seems like a graphical configuration that bugs me. Why did they do that? Why did they take the extra coding time to design that pop out? I don't know, but package. Okay, up here in the address bar, I'm just going to paste and hit enter. Takes me right to the file. It always has to be a network share. You always have to see whack server name. You can't use a drive letter because this is what is being told to the remote machines. So if you accidentally are trying to deploy this off of, say you had to share it off of this actual computer on C drive and you double click C drive and you went and found Google Chrome, click OK, it would tell the Windows machine, look at C drive, share, Chrome, and try to install it. And I'm like, well, that's not on my local hard drive. What are you talking about? So it can be kind of confusing. You have to always make sure that it's in the network path and not the local path using drive letters. So whack server 3, whack deploy $, I'll click on Google Chrome and I'll click open. We're going to assign it without any modifications. and I got an error. Did you all have the same error?
Nothing happened. Just closed it.
If yours closed, you may just wait a moment and it should show that it is deployed. I'm not sure why mine is throwing an error. Yes, just a sign. Let me try it again. I don't see anything. New package. So let me bring up one of your screens.
Refreshed it and it showed.
So it's working on your system. You refreshed and it's working. Here's working. Well, I didn't want to start the installer, but let me see. I'll double click on it. My system does seem to be having a few issues. Now the question is, did it download right? Sometimes it's pretty rare, but sometimes when you download, it gets. So that showed correct. So I'm going to delete that file. And I'm going to recopy one into the system. Let's see if that new one does any better. It seems so. Something was corrupted on that one. I don't know what happened to it when it copied and pasted on Tuesday. Like I said, that sometimes happens. I should have run a MD5 or a hash on my local and then on the remote to see if the hashes were different. I'm sure they would have showed up different. So there we go. Google Chrome is assigned. Neat. So that's as hard as it gets, putting software into a folder. being corrupt and not working, having to delete it and re-put it out there. But that was pretty complex. So I'm going to go and close this out. And I'm going to go ahead and close out the group policy. And before we go to our client machine to see what's going to happen to it, I want to show you where that policy was created. So if I go whack, either one of the servers or contoso.com, I'll come up and see a netlogon and sysvol. So I could either use a domain controller server name, or I could use the domain name and randomly connect to server 1 or 2. So I'm going to go with the randomness and just use contoso.com instead of an exact server name. As I go under sysvol, the domain name, there's a policies folder. And in that policies folder, there's a folder that was created today. Also with a big, long, unique identifier onto it. And that was the policy we created. So as almost with anything, the operating system likes to use numbers instead of ASCII text names. So when we gave it a name, it gave it a unique identifier in the background and created a folder with that name on it. So as we open this up, we'll look under user folder is blank. If I look under machine, oh, there's something under here. There's an application folder, and there's this file here that basically says, this is all the instructions on how a Windows machine should install Chrome. So neat. This little INI file here. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Well, it lacks some of the information. I thought it was going to tell me what the policy name in there. It didn't tell me what I thought it was going to. So that's where policies are created. If you ever wanted to know what happens behind the graphics, where do things go? That's where they go. Let's go look at client 1. Client machines will check the server for new policies about every 3 hours. I do not want to wait 3 hours because that's beyond the end of the class. So I'm going to force that to speed up. In IT, this is a command that any IT person I've talked to that's been out in the field, like, yep, we use this all the time when something changes or when they reinstall an operating system or something. It's called GP update. So if you right click the start menu and run a PowerShell, shouldn't matter if admin or not admin, and you run group policy update is what it stands for. GP update. Altogether, no spaces. Command prompt does not like spaces and things. So GP update's a command. I hit enter. It's going to force it to recontact with the main controllers and pull any policies down. We should also get a question about it's not going to question that, so it's okay. After it successfully pulls the policies, let's restart Windows. That seemed a bit too quick. Yeah, I don't see Chrome yet. I'm going to restart it one more time. before I try an extra switch with the GP update. So we could wait until next Tuesday and log in or restart the machine, and Chrome should be on there. Software installs must be done during restarts. And normally what happens is you set up some policies, deploy software. After 3 hours, the computer will read that policy. People will shut their computers down to go home for the night. They'll come back the next morning. When they turn them on, they will get the software installed. I think Elijah was studying the Microsoft configuration server presentation. I think you picked that as your topic. You can buy extra servers that have push capabilities, so they push these policies. There'll be an agent running on the client machines that the server can send a packet to go, hey, we got new software, let's install it right now. So I've got Google Chrome on my desktop. If you want it more automated and pushed out rather than having to wait for restarts and stuff, you have to buy third-party software or like Microsoft configuration server. But group policy is free and it does work. It just sometimes takes a little bit. And sometimes you got to tell a person to restart their machine or write some PowerShell scripts and stuff to auto restart machines during the night when nobody's at the office. So it's pretty neat. The user didn't have to do anything. I mean, we ran the GP update and restarted a couple of times, but a regular user would just use the computer as normal and reboot the next morning, and there's the software. And it wouldn't have mattered if we have one client machine, but we could have had thousands in there. If they all turned the computers on at 8 o'clock at the same time, that might have bogged the network down a little bit. Especially the larger the application and the more synchronous people will get to work and boot the machines up, the longer things like that would take. I hope that was interesting. Hope you feel like you got some power. It's like, that's power. This classroom, you know, like all the printers, the connection to the printer up here, I use group policy. I didn't go to each machine and connect it to the printer in the classroom. Like 104 and 103. Like, no, I'm not going to go to each one of those and log in. It takes a couple of minutes to log in each machine. Then you got to do all the clicks and find the printer and browse for it, and install it and wait for it and log back out, and then go to the next one. And that amount of time to do one machine, I was able to create a group policy, deploy the printer, and then just leave. And then, you know, when y'all come to class and sit down and log in, it just auto connects the printer to that computer. So I do have organizational units for each of the classrooms, so I can put printers and attach them.
So do you have all the IT stuff over here?
Yes. Most of it. Sometimes if there's a whole lot, I'll ask for help, but with like being able to control the policies and push things to the machines, there's not a lot of help we need. And I do help IT out sometimes throughout the year. They've got issues and just need technical guidance. We got some really good IT staff, so they normally don't need much extra help. I've worked IT in the summer, a few summers, help them out. You got to always do something real to keep up. I'm going to pause the recording and